It was a cold and rainy night in a quiet town. The streets were empty, and only the sound of water dripping from rooftops could be heard. Jason, a 22-year-old man, was walking home after his night shift at the gas station. His hoodie was soaked, and his shoes made a squishy sound with every step. He took a shortcut through a narrow alley that passed behind an old, abandoned church. The church had been closed for years, and people said it was haunted. Jason didn't believe in ghosts, but he still felt uneasy every time he walked past it. As he walked by the back of the church, he suddenly heard something. It was soft, almost like someone crying. Jason stopped and looked around. The sound came again, a whisper, weak and afraid. He moved closer to the back wall of the church. There, behind a broken stone fence, he saw something that made him freeze. A girl was lying on the ground, half naked, wet from the rain, and shivering. Her long silver hair clung to her skin, and her eyes were wide open, but tired. Jason rushed to her side. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked. The girl looked at him with fear, her lips trembling. "Don't let them find me," she whispered. Jason looked around, but there was no one else in sight. He took off his hoodie and wrapped it around her. She was cold, ice cold, but there were no signs of injury. "I need to get you out of here," Jason said. He helped her stand, and she leaned on him, too weak to walk properly. Slowly, he led her to his small apartment just 2 blocks away. Inside, he gave her a blanket and some dry clothes from his sister's old drawer. She didn't speak much, just sat quietly, looking at the floor. Jason tried asking her name, but she only shook her head. "I don't remember," she said softly. "I don't know where I am." Jason thought she might have escaped from somewhere, maybe a hospital or worse, but there was something strange about her, something he couldn't explain. Her skin had a faint glow under the light, like moonlight trapped in her body. When she touched a glass of water, it vibrated slightly. Jason noticed, but didn't say anything. He didn't want to scare her even more. That night, while she slept on the couch, Jason sat near the window, thinking, who was this girl? Why was she behind the church? And what did she mean by them? He opened his phone and searched for missing person reports, but found nothing. Then, at exactly 3:17 a.m., his phone buzzed. He had received a message from an unknown number. There was no name, no profile, just one sentence. "She is not who you think she is. Leave her before it's too late." Jason's heart skipped a beat. He looked at the girl, still asleep under the blanket. Who would send a message like that? And how did they know about her? He tried replying, but the message disappeared. There was no trace of it in his inbox. Now he was scared too. Suddenly the lights in the room flickered. Jason looked up. The bulb above him buzzed, then popped. Darkness filled the room for a moment. Then the emergency light turned on. The girl opened her eyes slowly. "I'm sorry," she said in a tired voice. "It happens when I'm scared." Jason stared at her, confused. "What are you?" he whispered. She didn't answer, just looked away. Outside the window, a black car parked across the street. 2 men in dark suits stepped out, looked at Jason's building, and spoke into radios. Jason closed the curtain slowly. Something told him this was just the beginning. Jason didn't sleep that night. The girl was still on the couch, curled under a blanket, breathing softly. The strange message from the unknown number kept repeating in his mind. "She is not who you think she is," it said. "Leave her before it's too late." But Jason wasn't the kind of person who left someone in trouble. He just needed answers. And fast. The next morning, the girl was awake before him. She stood near the window, staring at the cloudy sky. Jason offered her food, but she only drank water. "Do you remember anything now?" he asked. She turned to him with empty eyes. "Stars," she said slowly. "I remember stars." And falling. Then her head dropped like it hurt to think too much. Jason stepped outside to clear his mind. The street felt different, quiet. But watched. Across the road, the black car was still there. 2 men sat inside, wearing sunglasses. Even though the sun hadn't come out, Jason walked toward them casually, trying to act normal. But as he approached, the car engine started and sped off without a word. That wasn't normal. That was surveillance. Back inside, the girl sat on the floor, eyes shut tight, hands shaking. "They're here," she whispered. "They followed the signal." Jason looked around. "What signal?" "The one from my crash," she said. "They can feel my energy." Jason's mind was racing. "Crash? You mean like a spaceship?" he asked, half joking. But she didn't smile. "I wasn't supposed to land here," she said. "They were chasing me." "Who?" She hesitated. "Hunters." Jason sat down slowly, trying to make sense of it. "You're not human," he said, almost afraid of his own words. She nodded, then looked up with a spark of emotion. "I didn't want this," she said. "I only wanted to escape." Before he could ask more, the building shook, a soft rumble, not like thunder, but something deeper, heavier. Jason ran to the window. 3 black SUVs were turning into a street. Men in suits with earpieces and weapons jumped out. "They found me," she said, standing up with her fists clenched. Jason grabbed her arm. "We have to go, now." They rushed out the back door. Through the alley, Jason's heart pounded as he heard the sound of boots behind them. "Split up," one voice shouted. They ran behind a row of dumpsters, trying not to make a sound. The girl touched the metal wall beside her, and it rippled like water. Jason blinked, shocked. "What did you just do?" he whispered. "I changed its surface," she said, "to hide our heat." A beam of red light scanned the alley. Jason held his breath. The agents passed by without seeing them. Once they were gone, Jason and the girl ran again, this time toward the woods. They reached a quiet clearing, where birds chirped and the world felt normal again. Jason dropped to the ground, breathing hard. The girl knelt beside him. "I'm sorry," she said. "You're in danger because of me." Jason looked at her, still trying to understand everything. "You said they're hunters," he said. "Who do they work for?" She looked at the sky, her voice shaking. "They work for my uncle," she said. "He took my family's throne. I'm the last one left." Jason stared at her in silence. This wasn't just about aliens anymore. This was something bigger. She wasn't just different, she was important. He stood up slowly. "Okay," he said. "Then we fight back." Asterisk. The forest was quiet, too quiet. Jason and the girl sat under a tree, hiding, breathing softly. The air smelled like pine and rain. Birds chirped in the distance, unaware of the chase that had just happened. Jason looked at her hands. They were glowing faintly, like light trapped under her skin. "How do you do that?" he asked. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she pressed her palm against the ground. The soil lit up in a soft blue circle, then faded. "I'm remembering things," she said slowly. "It's coming back in pieces." Jason leaned closer. "You said your uncle took the throne." "Yes," she nodded. "My mother was queen, but he wanted the crown. He started a war. I ran before they could catch me." She looked down at her hand again. "They erased some of my memory, so I wouldn't lead them back." Jason frowned. "Erased? Like brainwashing?" She shook her head. "Not like that. Just locked it away, like closing doors in my mind." Jason stood up and walked in circles. "You're telling me you're an alien princess from another world?" "Yes," she replied softly. "But I'm not human anymore either." He stopped. "What do you mean?" She raised her hand and pointed at a large tree. "Stand back," she said. Jason did, unsure what was about to happen. The girl closed her eyes, breathed in deeply. A hum filled the air, soft, steady like a quiet song. Then the tree lifted from the ground, roots and all, floating in the air for a few seconds before gently setting back down. Jason's mouth opened in shock. "That's impossible," he whispered. She looked at him, serious now. "Not on my world." He walked over to the tree, touching the bark. "No wires, no tricks," he said to himself. "You really did that." The girl sat down again, resting. "I can do more," she said. But it hurts now. I'm still weak. Jason sat beside her, still shaken. Why did you crash here? Of all places? He asked. She hesitated. Because your world is quiet, she said. Hidden. No one would expect me here. Jason laughed nervously. Guess they were wrong. Just then, a low humming sound came from above. Jason looked. Up a small drone hovered in the sky, blinking red. They had been found again. Run, the girl said, standing up. Jason didn't ask questions. They ran deeper into the forest, ducking under branches and jumping over roots. A loud sound came from behind. The drone exploded in the air. Jason looked back. Did you do that? The girl didn't answer, but her hand was glowing again. They found an old wooden shed near the edge of the trees. Inside, it smelled like dust and oil. Jason shut the door and pushed a barrel in front of it. They both breathed heavily, heartbeats racing. Jason looked at her. Can you teach me some of that stuff? He joked, trying to lighten the mood. She gave a small smile, the first one since they met. I can try, she said. Then her face grew serious again. But you have to understand, Jason, they won't stop. Not until I'm dead. Jason walked closer to her. Well, lucky for you, he said. I don't give up either. From his backpack, he pulled out a folded map. If we can make it to the old satellite station on the hill, there's gear we can use, he said. I used to hike there as a kid. The girl nodded slowly. We need to be fast. Before they bring the real hunters. Jason raised an eyebrow. Real hunters? She looked at him with a warning in her eyes. The ones who don't ask questions. They don't care who stands in their way. Jason folded the map. Then we'd better move before night falls. As they stepped out of the shed, Jason looked at her again. She looked like a normal girl, but inside her was a storm of power. And something told him she hadn't even begun to show what she could really do. The old satellite station stood silent on top of the hill. It hadn't worked in years. Rust covered the walls, vines climbed the towers, and the wind whistled through broken windows. But to Jason and the girl, it was shelter. They stepped inside, breathing hard. The long hike through the forest had drained them. Jason dropped his backpack and sat on the floor. The girl walked slowly around the room, running her hand across the dusty control panels. This place is ancient, she said, almost smiling. Jason watched her closely. There was something different about her now. She seemed stronger, like the closer she got to the sky, the more she became herself. Hey, Jason said softly. Do you remember anything new? She turned to him, her silver hair falling across her face. I remember my name, she said. Jason sat up. Yeah? She nodded slowly, her voice calm and heavy. My name is Serenia, she said. Daughter of the High Star Queen, heir to the throne of Velaris. Jason blinked. For a second, it didn't feel real. But the way she stood, the way her voice carried, he believed her. My mother ruled 12 star systems, Serenia continued. She brought peace for over a century. But her own brother betrayed her. Jason stood slowly. Your uncle, he said. Serenia nodded. He wanted control. He used machines to turn our people into weapons. He sent his army to the royal fleet. Her hands trembled slightly. I saw it from the escape window. Ships burning, stars fading. Jason stepped closer. You were on one of the ships. Yes, she whispered. My mother gave her life to send me away. She knew he would chase me across the galaxy. Jason was silent. For the first time, he understood how big this really was. This wasn't just about one girl running from soldiers. This was a war between worlds. Serenia sat down beside the broken console. I've been hiding ever since, she said. But my body, it's waking up. My powers are returning. That means he's close. Jason rubbed his face, trying to stay calm. So what do we do? Serenia looked at him. I have to send a signal, she said. There are still people loyal to my family. If they know I'm alive, they'll come. Jason stood up and checked the panel. Maybe this station can help, he said. We just need to fix the uplink. As he worked, Serenia walked to the edge of the window and looked at the stars. "I never thought I would see them again," she said. "I miss the way they feel." Jason looked over. "Feel?" She smiled. Softly, "Stars aren't just light where I come from. They sing, they breathe, they remember." Jason felt a chill. "Do you miss it? Your world?" Serenia's smile faded. "Yes," she said. "But it's gone, at least the one I knew." The console sparked and Jason stepped back. A small screen blinked to life. "Signal open," it read. Serenia moved forward, placing her hand on the panel. Her voice changed, stronger, older, filled with power. "To any ships of the old House of Light, this is Serenia Valaris, daughter of Queen Allura. I am alive." Jason watched in silence as her hand glowed, and the signal shot through the old tower like a pulse. It flew up into the night sky, beyond the clouds, beyond the earth, but far above them, beyond the stars, something stirred. A machine blinked to life on a ship made of shadows. A cold voice spoke. "Target confirmed. The Royal is awake." Back in the station, Serenia fell to her knees. Jason rushed over. "What's wrong?" "They heard me," she said. "All of them." Jason helped her sit. "Then we get ready," he said. "We don't run anymore." She looked into his eyes. "You still don't know what I really am, Jason." He held her hand tightly. "I don't care," he said. "You're not alone anymore." Outside, the wind grew louder. Storm clouds rolled across the stars. Something was coming, and this time, it wouldn't be human. The satellite signal had been sent. Now all they could do was wait. But Serenia knew what came next. Her uncle's army would not wait. They would arrive first to silence her. Before help could reach, Jason paced inside the station. "We can't stay here," he said. "They'll find us again." Serenia nodded, her eyes fixed on the stars. "There's one place left," she whispered. "The place where I fell." Jason looked at her, confused. "The crash site?" "Yes," she said. "My escape pod. It wasn't just a pod, it carried a relic. A core from my mother's ship. It can open something. Something that will help us." Jason's heart raced. "You're saying we go back to the crash site? To the one place they're probably watching?" Serenia didn't blink. "Yes," she said. "Because it's our only chance." Later that night, they made their way to Jason's old friend, Malik, a skilled hacker and garage inventor. He owed Jason a favor, and more importantly, he didn't ask too many questions. In Malik's dark garage, filled with wires and blinking screens, Serenia opened her hand. A small silver cube floated above her palm, spinning silently. "This will disable their scanners," she said, "but only for 6 minutes." Malik whistled. "That's not from Earth." Jason smirked. "Told you she's different." The plan was crazy. Break into the government facility where her pod was taken, get the relic hidden inside, and escape before they knew. Jason called it suicide. Serenia called it strategy. The next day, just after midnight, the three of them approached the outer fence. Guards in black moved like shadows. Cameras blinked red every few seconds. Serenia raised her hand, and the cube began to glow. A pulse of invisible energy spread across the fence. For 6 minutes, they were ghosts. Inside, rows of crashed tech and strange objects were locked behind glass. Serenia's pod was in the center, cold, silver, and cracked open like a giant seed. Jason moved fast, cutting the alarm wires while Malik jammed the internal cameras. Serenia stepped into the pod. She placed her hand on a hidden panel, and it opened. Inside was a golden sphere, floating gently, humming like it was alive. "This is the key of light," she said softly. Jason looked at it in awe. "What does it do?" "It shows the way," she replied, "and calls those who still remember me." But then, a blaring alarm. The pulse had ended early. The guards were coming. Time to go. Jason shouted. They ran, ducking through metal aisles, alarms flashing. Right around them, a blast of heat flew past Jason's ear. A plasma shot. More guards were firing now. Serenia turned and raised her hand. A shockwave of blue light exploded from her palm. Sending the guards flying, Jason grabbed her arm. "Not too much." "I'm trying," she said, her voice shaking. "But it's waking inside me." Malik opened the exit gate with a stolen keycard. They burst into the night, running across the empty field toward the car. Behind them, searchlights lit up the sky. As they drove away, the relic began to glow. It projected a small hologram above Serenia's lap, a map of star systems, routes, and a blinking light near Earth. Jason looked at it, amazed. "What is that?" She looked at him, voice calm now. "It's the location of the last star beacon. If we reach it, we can call my people, if they still live." Jason nodded, gripping the wheel. "Then let's get there before they do." Far above, in orbit, a giant dark ship moved through the shadow of the moon. Its captain watched the signal trail. "Prepare the hunter," he said coldly. "She has the relic." Above Earth, hidden in the dark between stars, a ship moved like a shadow across the sky. Black, silent, ancient. Its engines made no sound, but its presence felt like thunder inside. The hunter awoke, not a man, not a machine, something in between, built from stolen flesh and alien steel. It had one purpose: find the royal bloodline and erase it. Back on Earth, Jason and Serenia followed the map from the relic. The blinking star led them toward the mountains, to a hidden place buried beneath stone and sky. They stopped near and posed near. Old cave, marked with strange symbols. Serenia stepped forward, her hand glowing. The cave walls responded, shifting open like they remembered her. Inside, the air was warm, alive. Old machines hung to life as they entered. A throne of light stood in the center, cracked but still glowing. "This was one of my family's temples," she said. "Before the war." Jason looked around, confused and amazed. "How is all of this here? On Earth?" Serenia placed her hand on the relic, letting it float. "My mother sent pieces of our world to hidden planets long ago, in case we ever fell." As the relic scanned the room, another map appeared, this time showing a gate, a stargate buried deep beneath Earth. If activated, it could send Serenia home, or bring others to her. But before they could speak, the cave shook. A cold wind blew through the walls. Jason turned toward the entrance. Something was coming. "Run," Serenia whispered, but it was too late. The hunter stepped into the cave, tall, silent, wearing armor that looked alive. Its eyes burned like fire behind its mask. Jason stood in front of Serenia, fists clenched. "You'll have to go through me," he said. The hunter didn't speak. It raised its hand, and Jason was thrown across the room by an invisible force. Serenia screamed, raising her own power. Energy clashed in the air, blue against red. The cave shook, walls cracking, machines sparking. Jason pulled himself up, bleeding, but as he stood, something strange happened. His hands began to glow, not like Serenia's, but golden, warm, powerful. Serenia saw it too, her eyes wide. "Jason," she whispered, "your blood. It's not all human." Jason's mind spun. He remembered the strange dreams he had as a child, the voice in his head that wasn't his, the way tech sometimes bent around him. The hunter paused, sensing something had changed. Jason stepped forward. Again, this time when the hunter attacked, Jason caught the blow with his bare hands. The energy sparked, but didn't hurt him. "I don't know what I am," Jason said, "but I'm not afraid of you." With a roar, he pushed back. Serenia joined him, their powers mixing in a storm of light. The hunter stumbled, then cracked, its armor splitting under the pressure. One final blast of power sent it crashing into the cave wall, where it didn't move again. Silence returned. Only the hum of the relic remained. Jason fell to his knees, gasping. Serenia knelt beside him. "You're part of my world," she said softly. "Maybe more than you know." Jason looked at her, breathing hard. "Then we finish this," he said. "No more running." She touched the relic, and the star map changed. A new light appeared. A beacon. Ships were coming. Help was on the way. But so was war, above Earth. The dark ship opened its lower hangar. Dozens of pods launched into the sky. The final wave had begun. Asterisk, the sky above Earth burned gold and black, dozens of enemy pods entered the atmosphere like falling stars. The invasion had begun, but so had something else. A rise, a return, a rebirth. Inside the mountain temple, the relic pulsed faster. Serenia stood before it, light flowing from her eyes and hands. Her body no longer looked fragile. She stood like she had done this before, many lifetimes ago. Jason stood beside her, his palms still glowing faint gold. He had more questions than answers, but right now, there was no time. Are you ready? She asked. Jason nodded. I don't know what I am, but I'm with you. Serenia reached forward and placed the relic into the throne of light. The entire room lit up, ancient walls shifting. From deep below the temple, a vibration echoed. Like something huge was waking beneath the earth. Outside, the first enemy pod landed. From it, a new kind of soldier stepped out. Tall, insect-like, wearing armor made from bone and metal. More followed, fanning out across the forest. But something was waiting for them as the signal from the throne reached the sky. Portals of light opened above the clouds. Ships of crystal and flame burst through, silent and beautiful. The lost fleets of Valeris had heard the call. They had returned. In the temple, Serenia rose slowly into the air. Her voice echoed across the land, not through sound, but through light. I am Serenia, daughter of Allura, keeper of the star flame. You hunted me. You tried to erase me. But I am, still, here. Jason watched, breath held. She wasn't the scared girl behind the church anymore. She was royalty. No, she was a queen. The enemy forces rushed toward the mountain. Explosions shook the earth, but the ships of Valeris struck back, sending waves of pure energy down like lightning. Jason stepped forward, lifting his hand. To his surprise, the relic responded. The throne glowed brighter, and Jason saw a vision. A memory not his own, a child placed in a capsule, floating across space. An Earthwoman opening the pod, crying, holding the boy close. Jason, adopted, hidden, he gasped. I came from your world. Serenia turned to him, her eyes wide with ancient recognition. You are of the royal guard, she said softly. Your line was loyal to mine. You were sent ahead to protect the last star. Jason's heart pounded. Then this is my fight too. He stepped into the light of the relic. His golden glow turned bright, merging with Serenia's. A wave of power burst through the temple. Outside, the enemy lines collapsed, crushed under the storm of light. One final pod dropped from the sky. The Dark Commander, her uncle's last weapon. Tall, cruel, his voice carried across the valley. You are a child playing queen, he hissed. Serenia floated down slowly. I am not playing, she said. I am ruling. The final battle was short. Serenia and Jason fought side by side. Her light burned clean, his strength unshakable. Together, they shattered the Dark Commander's core. His armor cracked, and he fell in silence. The valley grew quiet. Skies cleared. The enemy was gone. Hours later, Serenia stood on the temple steps. Behind her, the fleet waited. Valeris had returned for her. She looked at Jason, who stood beside her, silent, thinking. You have a choice, she said. Come with me, to the stars, or stay here, on Earth. Jason looked at the horizon, then at her. I was born here, he said, but maybe I was made for out there. She smiled. Then let's go home. The ships rose slowly into the air. Serenia and Jason stood at the heart of the largest one. Stars opened ahead. The galaxy was waiting, and the Queen had returned.